Whenever a new Star Wars game releases, people tend to compare it to how the original Battlefront 2 did their Starfighter mechanics, and of course they would. Battlefront 2 has some of the best mechanics and most fun Starfighter gameplay in any other Star Wars game. So, which is why today we'll be taking a deeper dive into both Battlefront 2 games, and we'll look at the ins and outs of the Starfighter modes, mechanics, and overall gameplay. To start things off, we'll look at the two core modes for both Battlefront games: Assault for the original Battlefront 2, and Starfighter Assault for DICE's Battlefront 2. Assault has you spawn in as a pilot and lets you take control of one out of four starfighters, with each starfighter having their own class. There's an interceptor class, like the A Wing, that's great for taking out starfighters, while not so much against capital ships or frigates. And then there is a fighter class that's also good for taking out fighters and can do somewhat okay damage on bigger targets. A bomber class, which focuses on taking out capital ships but can hold its own against other starfighters. Lastly, there's a sort of transport class which isn't very great in any of these tasks. Debatable with the clone gunship, but its main focus is to board enemy ships and to be used as a mobile respawn point, which is really cool, as you can take the fight to the enemy team inside of their own capital ship. I love that part. I think that's what makes the original Battlefront 2 Starfighter modes extremely memorable and different. Each of these fighters are really well balanced, which just goes to show that Pandemic Studios really knew what they were doing. The way to win Assault is you have to be the first to get to 180 points. You can do that in a multiple of ways. You can destroy enemy fighters, which gives you like 4 points or so. You can destroy enemy subsystems and frigates, which give you a lot more points, I think about 18 to be precise. So there's a whole lot of diversity in what you can do to have your team win. Taking enemy fighters is a fun way to do it, but it does take quite a while for you to get to that desired 180 points. When I was younger, I would just every single time I was in a space battle, I would only use a bomber to take out the frigates and subsystems, as it was just the quickest way for me to just get the battle done and over with, because I just wanted to complete the conquest. It's not because, taking out fighters was boring. It was, I just wanted to just get over with the campaign as fast as possible, basically. On the topic of using a bomber and subsystems, really, every capital ship has 5 systems, 2 of which you can destroy inside of the ship, along with its auto defense system and shield generator, which I think is really cool how they let you destroy that stuff on the inside. It adds a different way to help your team win, instead of just being in a starfighter the entire time, so that it doesn't get stale. Each map has their own type of objectives, but the basis of them is the same for all of them. If you're on the attacking side, most of the objectives, like 99% of them, you just have to destroy a target. I think there's actually only one objective out of all the maps. I think there's maybe like 6 or so. But out of all of them, only one of them is an objective to where all you have to do is just kill the enemy team. That's it. They try to spice it up a little bit by giving you classes, just like the original Battlefront 2, and heroes, which is also a cool thing. I love how they added heroes to play as well. So playing as like Poe Dameron is, I love Poe. I love Poe, so playing as him is so cool for me. But they try to spice it up with them, but that's just about the only way to play the mode. Shoot the objective or kill people. It's fun at first, but after so long, it just gets kind of stale. If you're on the attacking side and you just want to focus on killing the other team, you can, but it doesn't really guarantee a win for your team. It's cool that they have the option to do that, but if you're just attacking the enemy team, you can't rely on your teammates. That's basically my premise for Starfighter Assault. You cannot rely on your teammates to win games. There are three classes that you can play as in Starfighter Assault. You have a fighter class, interceptor class, and a bomber class, just like the originals. And just like the originals, the interceptors, they are strictly for destroying enemy fighters, but with the right star cards and the right levels of them, you can also do some really good damage on objectives. And sometimes I tend to think that they do a better job than a bomber, to be honest with you. Fighters, they're also really good for taking out other fighters, but not really so much with objectives as well, destroying them. They do a decent job, but honestly, I feel like the interceptor just does a hell of a better job than fighters. And then finally, you have bombers, which can hold their own against other fighters. You can use bombers to only go after other enemies, but they're not designed for that role. But they do tank a lot of more hits since they do have a higher health pool. In this game, it gives you an option to play in first person, which I really love too. Playing in first person in this game, I love it. And honestly, it's the only way that I'll even play as a Starfighter is in first person. The controls are just so amazing, and I love them. Playing in first person in DICE's Battlefront 1, don't even get me started on that. That was just a hot mess. You were throwing your game if you were playing in first person. I mean, it was doable, but it was just really clunky and just horrible. That's a whole nother topic for another video on another day. But playing in first person, I love it. It's a really great way to immerse you into the battles, especially if you're playing as a hero just going ham on other starfighters. It's really immersive. If I were to describe Pandemic's flight mechanics in one word, I would say that it's very arcadey. The ships are pretty fast, even for the bombers, which is surprising. What I love about Pandemic's version is how light it makes you feel, especially when you roll around or you turn around real quick, like when you press the dodge button twice and then you go through this pretty cool animation and then bam, now you're flying in the opposite direction. I love that. It's a really great way to dodge missiles, if you time it correctly, that is. The amount of times you can do that, however, is dependent on your stamina bar, which fills up relatively quickly. You can probably do that whole animation of turning around or whatnot a good 2 times before it's depleted, and then you can probably do a roll maybe a good 3 or 4 times if I remember. While as DICE in their version of Starfighter Assault, they don't have those sort of things in their game. It's a bit more realistic to a certain extent, to say the least. They keep it simple with just going, forwards, backwards, flying. Not really backwards, I should say. Mostly forward. The turning, it's relatively quick. Whenever you turn, though, it does even you out automatically, so I don't think they do that in Pandemic's version. So if I were to describe DICE's version of Starfighter Assault, or their Starfighter mechanics, I should say, sorry, it's more user-friendly, I should say. To sum things up and to finish up this video, I just want to say I love both versions. The original Battlefront version is just that, the original, which is why we always go back to comparing to that game, as it was the first one that we really got to love and really got to appreciate, because all the other versions they were okay, but this one just stuck with us a little bit more. I also love Dice's version as well. I can really get immersed into that game and get lost for a good couple of hours. I can have a whole lot of fun with it. It's not as arcadey as the original Battlefront 2, but it still provides a whole lot of fun. Both games cater to two audiences, which is great. If you like one version, you can play that. If you like the other version, you can play that. That's cool. Not everyone has to love the same thing. And I can't say I lean more to one side, as I love both of them equally, and always will. Hello there. Look at you. You made it to the end of the video. I just want to say thank you that you did. Go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you'd be so inclined to. Go ahead and leave a comment down below what you liked about the video. Tell me what you think about Starfighter Assault or the Assault for the original Battlefront 2. But other than that, I'll go ahead and leave you guys to it, and I'll finish up here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.